There's something funny about being the stable one in a relationship. People treat you like a brick wall, dependable, steady, solid, but nobody ever asks what the brick wall feels when someone starts jackhammering into it. I'm Brandon Hayes. I'm 28, a mechanical engineer by trade, a homebody by choice, and until recently, a man engaged to a woman who thought taking a 6-month test drive with other men was a great idea before tying the knot. I didn't find out about her brilliant plan in a fight or over a dramatic text thread. No, I found out the way most modern tragedies begin, through a carefully reheated lasagna and a speech that felt like a TED Talk titled, "Why Sleeping Around Isn't Cheating If You're Emotionally Honest About It." But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind to 3 days earlier, the night it all started. It was Friday. Melissa, my fiancée, 27, sharp as a whip, gorgeous in that corporate queen with a yoga routine way, was out at the Lime Room with her girls. Now, I've never been invited to these girls-only outings, and I never asked to be. That place is basically a Pinterest board of neon signs, overpriced cocktails with names like Lust in Translation, and wall mirrors made for selfies. From what I've gathered, it's less of a bar and more of a confessional booth where women justify wild decisions over cucumber mojitos. Her crew? A sitcom waiting to happen. Stacy's the smart, cynical one with the permanent resting judge face. Hannah is emotional, sweet, and somehow always crying during reality shows. Jess flirts with the bartender even when he's gay. They're a mix of wisdom and chaos, like fortune cookies soaked in tequila. That night, they were celebrating the upcoming wedding, our wedding, scheduled for 6 months from now, with a string quartet, a guest list of 132 people, and a cake tasting I had silently endured like a true soldier. Apparently, at some point during the night, between the third round of Cosmos and someone pulling out a Truth or Dare app for adults, why do those exist? Melissa stood up and delivered her version of a midlife crisis TEDx speech. According to what Stacy told me later, and trust me, Stacy didn't want to get involved, but she hates stupidity more than loyalty, Melissa announced she wanted to take a freedom sabbatical. A 6-month break. From me. Not because anything was wrong, oh no, she made that part very clear. She just wanted to expand her sexual resume before locking it down forever. Her words, not mine. The worst part? She actually believed. I'd agree. She even told them that I'd be cool with it because I adored her too much to leave. Now, I may be quiet, maybe a little old-fashioned. I still believe in holding doors open, fixing your own sink, and not using relationship breaks as an excuse to build your own OnlyFans highlight reel. But I'm not an idiot. When Melissa came home that night, she looked a little too cheerful, the kind of cheerful that means either you just got a promotion or you've committed a felony and don't know it yet. She curled up next to me on the couch, like nothing had changed, like she didn't just drop a relationship hand grenade at a cocktail lounge. The next morning, I found her phone on the kitchen counter while making coffee. Black, 2 sugars. The only constant in my life. And saw a group chat notification from the Bride Squad. Yeah, they actually named it that. I didn't snoop. I didn't even open the message. But I saw enough of the preview. Jess. Girl. If Brandon agrees to this, I swear he's either a saint or secretly into open marriages. Stacy. He won't. She's playing with a loaded gun. Melissa. He'll understand. It's not about cheating. It's about honesty and growth. Now, I may not be a relationship expert, but when someone defends their future infidelity, before even telling you about it, that's a red flag big enough to use as a sail on a pirate ship. I said nothing that day. I went to work, tightened bolts, designed parts, came home, ate her reheated tofu stir-fry like a man on death row, and waited Sunday night. That's when she finally decided to drop the bomb. She made her grandmother's lasagna, the one with bechamel sauce and smug foreshadowing, and lit candles like we were about to celebrate an anniversary. She even wore that blue wrap dress I once said made her look like the closing scene of a rom-com. Then she sat me down and gave me the speech. Not a plea, not a discussion, a speech. Bullet points, a 6-month experience window. No secrets, full honesty. We'd both be free to explore. It's like studying abroad, she said. But for our bodies. You ever get punched in the face with words? That's what it felt like. I sat there, my fork halfway to my mouth, lasagna still steaming, and watched the woman I loved tell me she wanted a sexual internship before she could commit to a full-time position as my wife. When she finally stopped talking, which, I should add, took about 13 minutes and 2 glasses of Pinot, I put my fork down, stood up, and went to pack a bag. She followed me to the bedroom, her voice going from confident to concerned to full-blown panic. "Brandon, wait, we can talk about this. We can talk about—" "You just did," I said, folding my shirts like I wasn't losing a whole future in real time. "You made your decision. I'm making mine. It's not like I'm cheating on you. It's just an experiment. I heard you. I left." Her there, in our stupid Pinterest-decorated loft with her scented candles and live laugh love pillow. I paid the rent through the end of the month, turned off my phone, and drove to a buddy's place an hour away, where the only rule was no therapy talk during football. Melissa thought I'd be waiting when she was done with her semester abroad. What she didn't realize is, I'm not a man you put on pause. I didn't cry. Let's just get that out of the way. I didn't pull over and weep to Adele in a gas station parking lot, or scroll through old photos whispering, but she was the one. Nah. I did what any self-respecting man does when he's just been hit with a romantic sucker punch. I drove straight to Mike's place, cracked open a cold one, and watched the Cowboys lose by 14. Again. Mike's been my best friend since sophomore year of college, the kind of guy who owns exactly 1 bath towel, drinks whiskey like it's Gatorade, and thinks therapy is something you do by power washing your driveway. When I told him the story, the 6-month free pass program, the lasagna setup, the growth through external genitals monologue, he didn't say a word for a solid 30 seconds. Then he whistled low and muttered, "Damn, she really turned your engagement into a reality show pitch." That made me laugh, which helped, because if you don't laugh, you start thinking too much. And if you think too much, you start wondering how someone you trusted with your future suddenly sees your relationship as a sandbox. I stayed at Mike's for a few days, long enough to breathe, to not be surrounded by monogrammed throw pillows, and to avoid the pity texts that were definitely flying around by then. I imagined her group chat lighting up like a Vegas slot machine. Jess probably thought this was some romantic comedy arc where I'd storm back in, throw her over my shoulder and say, "Fine, let's sow some oats, baby." Yeah, no, what? They don't realize is, I'm not the man you keep on a shelf. I'm the man who builds the damn shelf, mounts it into the studs, and makes sure it doesn't wobble. But Melissa, she always thought I was the safe choice. She'd even said it once during a wine-fueled night, half joking, "You're not dangerous, Brandon. You're marriage material." At the time, I took it as a compliment. Now I realize maybe she meant I wasn't exciting enough to fear losing. By the end of the week, I found a sublet. A small 1-bedroom on the east side with creaky floors, peeling cabinets, and a broken ceiling fan that made a noise like a dying squirrel. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No scented candles, no framed quotes about balance, and no one asking if I could maybe explore myself sexually with other people before Saturday brunch. I blocked her number, not because I wanted to be dramatic, but because I knew myself. I knew if I gave her space to explain, she'd start pulling at those emotional strings she knew so well. I'd start thinking about the good moments, Sunday pancakes, road trips with our off-key singing, the way she always squeezed my hand twice when she was nervous. And I'd forget that those moments were being traded for God knows what, with guys named Trevor on Tinder. Of course, I wasn't stupid. I knew she'd do it. The program wasn't just theory. It was a green light in a no-speed limit zone, and man, she hit the gas. I didn't stalk her socials, at least not at first. But people talk, word gets around. My buddy Eric from work, the guy who knows everything before the company memo does, slid up to me in the break room one afternoon like he was about to sell me black market kidneys. "You okay, man?" he asked, sipping his vending machine coffee. I nodded. "Why wouldn't I be?" He hesitated, then dropped it. "I, saw Melissa on someone's story last night. Looked like she was at this rooftop spot dancing on a table. Not judging, just thought you should know." Turns out that was her second night out that week. Apparently she'd gone full spring break mode, clubbing, swiping, smiling in photos with dudes whose neck veins looked like they bench press emotions. One of them, I kid you not, had a man bun and a tattoo that said Wolf King. I stared at that photo for 5 straight minutes when I finally cracked and checked her Instagram. She hadn't blocked me. Bold move. She wanted me to see. There she was, laughing in a tight black dress, drink in hand, with some guy whose shirt was unbuttoned halfway to his belly button. Caption, "Just vibes. Just vibes. Huh?" Meanwhile, I was eating microwave burritos and trying to find a goddamn dish rack that fit my new tiny sink. But I didn't text her. I didn't call. I didn't rage post. I just detached. And that's the part nobody talks about. The quiet moment when your love turns into something else. Not hate, not bitterness, just absence. Like someone turned down the volume on your favorite song until it's nothing but static. I filled the silence with work. I picked up extra projects, started going in early, stayed late. My manager loved it. I even signed up for a boxing gym. Not because I planned to fight anyone, but because hitting a 150-pound bag named Terry felt better than therapy. And while I was rebuilding my spine out of sweat and protein shakes, Melissa was out collecting experiences. One of her friends, the quiet one, Hannah, DM'd me 2 months in. I ignored the first message. The second one just said, "I didn't agree with her plan. I just want you to know that." That hit me in a weird place. Not because I wanted validation, but because it meant someone else saw it too. That this wasn't just me being the boring, inflexible guy. This was real. This was wrong. Fast forward to month 4. I'd stopped checking her feed, stopped asking anyone for updates. And then, on a Wednesday afternoon, while I was in line at Trader Joe's buying frozen orange chicken, I got a text from her. Just one line. "Can we talk?" I stared at it. The timestamp blinked at me like it knew what she wanted. Talk? Talk about what? About how free she felt when some guy called her baby girl after a second date? About how she realized none of those sweaty hookups ever looked her in the eyes like I used to? Or maybe she just missed me? Maybe she thought I'd been here all along, waiting, untouched, loyal, clean, like a safe little harbor after the storm. She had no idea the harbor had been sold. The boat sailed. New captain, new crew, new destination. I didn't reply. I put the phone back in my pocket, paid for my groceries, and went home. Later that night, I deleted the message. And that, my friends, is what it feels like when you finally stop being the safe guy and start being the man who knows his worth. People say time heals all wounds, but that's a lie. Time just puts a Band-Aid over a bullet hole and hopes you don't sneeze too hard. The truth is, time doesn't heal anything. Discipline does. Choices do. And I made a choice not to look back. Melissa, on the other hand, she chose chaos. I didn't hear much after that random text she sent in month 4, but then, like clockwork, rumors started bubbling up. And when I say rumors, I mean soap opera-grade plot twists that make you wonder if someone's life is being scripted by a team of underpaid Netflix interns. Apparently, she wasn't just dating. She was running a full-on romantic demolition derby. 5 different guys in 5 weeks. Not a metaphor. Actual confirmed body count via Instagram, 2 mutuals, and one poor dude who accidentally walked into my gym wearing a shirt she once stole from me. I recognized the shirt before the guy. Vintage NASA logo, slight bleach stain under the right armpit. I never even told her I liked that shirt, but she always wore it during lazy Sundays. I almost said something. I almost asked him if the lasagna was worth it, but I didn't. I just turned up the punching bag playlist and let Terry the heavy bag take the heat again. What got really spicy, though, what turned this whole circus into a full-blown tabloid headline, was what happened. At her job, Melissa worked in logistics. Fancy word for solving problems no one else wants to deal with and making spreadsheets look like art. She was good at it. Sharp, efficient, knew how to command a room with a pair of heels and a color-coded calendar. What she didn't know was that one of her little romantic experiences, let's call him Chad, because of course it was Chad, just so happened to be her boss. Yep, senior account director. 39, drives a Tesla, divorced twice. Thinks crypto is the future and wears cologne that smells like a hedge fund manager's midlife crisis. Their fling was short, hot, and stupid. 3 things that should never mix in the workplace. From what I heard, they hooked up after a corporate happy hour in the back seat of a company-leased SUV. Classy. Everything was going great until, during a quarterly meeting, Chad tried to play it cool and accidentally included a selfie they took in a hotel bathroom. In a PowerPoint presentation. You can't make this stuff up. Apparently, he was switching tabs too fast. And boom, Slide 14, quarterly growth forecast, followed by Slide 15. Melissa in a towel holding 2 champagne flutes and a very visible hickey. HR shut the whole meeting down. Chad got demoted, and Melissa? She had to go on temporary leave, which is corporate speak for please disappear before legal gets involved. I found out all of this 2 weeks later through Stacy, yes, the same friend who once said, I was too emotionally beige for Melissa's lifestyle. She reached out because she was fed up. Apparently even she had limits. We met up for coffee, which was weird, because the last time we saw each other was when she called me boringly loyal. She looked tired, like someone who'd been stuck inside a train that wouldn't stop. Crashing. She's out of control, Stacy said, sipping her oat milk latte like it was vodka. It was fun at first. We thought it was her reclaiming herself or whatever, but now it's like she's speed-running a breakdown. She's got freedom, I said, stirring my coffee. That's what she wanted, right? Yeah, well, now she's got screenshots. Apparently, someone from the office leaked the infamous PowerPoint image. It was circulating in private Slack channels and WhatsApp groups faster than office gossip during a fire drill. One poor intern accidentally sent it to a client. Melissa called it a smear campaign. I call it the consequences of your TED Talk. Lifestyle. Meanwhile, back in the land of non-disasters, I was thriving. I mean, I wasn't doing backflips through life, but I'd picked up boxing, I'd gotten promoted to project lead, and I'd even started talking to a woman at my gym named Juliet. Juliet was the kind of woman who didn't need to scream to be noticed. She walked in wearing those old-school Nike trainers, hair in a no-nonsense braid, and an air of quiet confidence that made you sit up straighter just by standing next to her. She didn't ask dumb questions like, "What's your sign?" She asked things like, "Do you actually stretch before squats or are you just winging it?" We started spotting each other on machines. Then we spotted each other at the smoothie bar. Then one day she asked if I wanted to go on a hike. "An actual hike?" I asked. "No," she said with a smirk. "A metaphysical journey toward enlightenment. Of course, a real hike, genius." That was our first date. It was simple, honest. We didn't talk about exes or sexual freedom or open relationships. We talked about music, dogs, and why peanut butter should never be crunchy. She didn't make me feel like I had to compete with her ambitions. She didn't treat love like a subscription plan with a free trial. She just showed up, consistently, kindly, completely. And that's when it hit me. Melissa never really wanted a partner. She wanted a background character for her main character narrative, someone who would support, cheer, forgive, and wait indefinitely, while she tried on other versions of herself like outfits in a dressing room. But real love doesn't work like that. It's not a costume, it's a uniform. You put it on and wear it through the sweat, the mess, the boring Tuesdays, and the late-night arguments about whose turn it is to take out the trash. I wore that uniform. She didn't. 4 months passed, then 5, then 6. And just like that, the day that was supposed to be our wedding arrived. She didn't call. She didn't text. Instead, she went to dinner with her friends. An anti-wedding celebration. From what I heard. Cute. I wasn't planning to show up anywhere that day, but Juliet had a different idea. "Let's go out," she said. "Not to celebrate or to gloat, just to exist. Let's go somewhere good." We went to this Italian place downtown. Not fancy, but cozy. String lights, red wine, the smell of garlic and redemption in the air. We were halfway through dessert when I saw her, Melissa, standing at the host stand with Stacy and Jess. She looked different. Not bad. Just smaller. Like someone had turned the saturation down on her personality. The sparkle was gone. The sharpness dulled. Our eyes met. She froze. Juliet noticed, of course. She leaned in and whispered, "That her?" "Yep." "She looks like she's seen a ghost." "Maybe she has." I stood up, walked over, introduced Juliet like a gentleman, smiled politely. Melissa blinked twice, then asked, "Is she your—" I let the moment hang. "My fiancée," I said. The silence that followed could have killed a plant. Juliet extended a hand. "Hi. Thanks for letting him go. I think he became mine because you let him slip through." Melissa didn't respond. She just nodded. And I swear, for a split second I saw something break. Not a scream. Not a sob, just a flicker. Like someone realizing the return window has closed. I walked back to our table, took a sip of wine, ate the rest of my tiramisu, and I didn't look back. There's a particular kind of silence that hits a person, the night after the wedding that never happened. It's not like regular silence. It's heavier, thicker, like someone draped a weighted blanket over your whole life and whispered, "Well, now what?" But for me, that silence didn't sting. It satisfied. Because I'd already mourned what we were. I had already stood in the wreckage, taken stock, and walked away with what was salvageable. My self-respect. Melissa, on the other hand, still had one more page left in her story. And this one ended. In fire. Let me tell you something about the internet, especially in America, especially if you're in a corporate setting. It never forgets, and it loves to humiliate. Doesn't matter how curated your Instagram is, how empowered your choices are, or how expensive your handbag is, once a video drops in the wrong inbox, you become the cautionary tale people whisper about during lunch breaks. So here's what happened. One of the guys from Melissa's experience roster, a guy she apparently met through a dating app that brags about being for professionals who value connection, code for finance bros and divorced dads with Teslas, was still in touch. Casual, mostly flirty texting, a leftover hookup she thought she could control until he lost his job and his dignity. Apparently, during a bitter argument with his ex, the dude decided to prove he had options and sent her a screen recording of him and Melissa. Intimate, stupid, loud enough that you could hear her laugh between moments. It was shot on his phone in a hotel bathroom with that stupid music in the background, The Weekend or something like that. She had no idea he'd saved it. The video got passed around faster than coupons at a church picnic. It made its way through friends of friends into private Facebook groups where middle-aged co-workers swapped gossip like baseball cards. And then, the bomb drop, someone sent it to the office Slack channel. Not the private one, the general one. Melissa worked in a company with a shared Slack, 57 employees, multiple departments. Clients connected via shared threads. Her name, her voice, her face, all in 1080p. By noon, HR was in full crisis mode. By 2 p.m., her account was deactivated. By 5 p.m., the VP of Operations sent a company-wide memo titled, "Upholding Our Values." She didn't just lose her job, she lost her image, her professional rep, her LinkedIn credibility, and in this country, that's social death. I didn't gloat. I didn't call her, didn't send a "told you so" text, didn't mention it to anyone. But I heard about it, because things like that echo. They echo in grocery stores, in book clubs, in water cooler conversations, in office parks across the country. They become warnings, parables, punchlines. Weeks later, I found out, from Stacy again, that Melissa stopped showing up anywhere, stopped going out, deleted most of her socials. Rumor had it, she tried applying for jobs in a different city, under a modified version of her name. And one night, I was driving home late, from Juliet's actually, and decided to take the long way. Just out of habit, I passed by that little corner bar where it all began, the Lime Room, neon pink signs still buzzing like a dying mosquito. Same chalkboard out front, $6 Cosmos, $4 Regrets. And there she was, Melissa, alone, sitting at the same table she once laughed at with her girls. No makeup, hoodie up, staring at her phone like it held the last pieces of her pride. I pulled over. I didn't go in, just sat there for a second, engine running, watching a memory collapse into itself. She was scrolling through something, maybe job listings, maybe some inspirational quote account that tells you every failure is just a step toward greatness. But I saw the moment, the flick of the thumb, the pause, the freeze. She'd found my wedding photos. Juliet and I had gotten married 3 weeks before. Small ceremony, backyard, no DJs, no sparkler exits, no Instagram hashtags, just vows, barbecue, and people who meant something. We posted one photo, just one, of us laughing mid-toast, beer in hand, nothing staged. That was the photo she stared at. She didn't cry. She didn't throw the phone. She didn't flip a table or chug a martini like in the movies. She just sat there. And for a moment, I wondered what was going through her head. Was it regret, shame, nostalgia, or maybe just the slow-burning ache of finally realizing that actions don't come with a warranty? You see, Melissa always thought life had a rewind button, that people like me, the boring, reliable guys, would be there, waiting at the last checkpoint, ready to resume the mission. But what she never understood was that when you walk out on someone who was willing to build a life with you, who would have fought, stayed, grown, you don't just lose the person. You lose the version of yourself that existed in their world. You don't get that woman back, and you sure as hell don't get that man again. She looked up at the bartender, said something, got her check, then sat back, staring at her screen, her thumb hovering over the image. Maybe she thought about calling. Maybe she even started to type something. But she didn't hit send. And just as she slid her phone back into her purse, she mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I know what it was. He wasn't the best lover, but he was mine. And she was right. I wasn't the best. I was learning, building, loving. Her the way you water something you want to see grow, until she decided she needed to plant herself in different gardens. Now, I'm a different man. I don't wait to be chosen. I choose myself.